Well, I have a second video. I think we're going to try it. God damn, it's not tall enough. Zoom in a little bit. It is about, that's good enough. The Aeon. Who are the Aeon? Well, as I said before, the Titans were the ones that created the world. They were the ones that said, this is what this is, and it shall be what it shall be, right? Now, I'm just testing, seeing what I can do here. That might work. Yeah, that'll be fine. Now, that's what they are. The Titans. The Aeon are the secondary beings that came into this realm. And it is said to they are said to have the leader Aeonic. Aeonic is the Forgotten King. We're just going to break down who they made. Just kind of, because I kind of mentioned it briefly in the previous one. Aeonic is known to have created what they call the Aeomen, which they're all Aeomen, let's be honest. We're not going to call them that. We're just going to say mankind for right now, because it doesn't really make much sense. Probably the Oakind or something, I don't know. He made them, and he made the, oh gosh, the name of them begins with a Y, but we're going to call them simply the bearded pygmy. You mean dwarves? No, these guys are small and they're bearded. He made those two. Now, directly his brother, his closest relative, Aeonic. Aeonic Beovac. Well, Aeonic Beovac originally made the Belandi. Later he made Golduff. He made the Golduff, and he made, oh god, some other type of being I don't remember the name of. I think it was something like Troyovi or something like that. I don't know. Think of it like goblins. Ogres and goblins kind of thing. Then there is the creator that is called Aeonic. Aeonic created the Belandi. Then we have Albiorix. Albiorix created the clan people. See? And then we have Scapier, to which Scapier created the Valakmir. And the last one, but not least, no, it's not the last one, Volor, who created Dubois. People, the people of Dubois. The Duboians, I don't know yet. Last one, his name has been forgotten. But they know him as the silent one. And that would be the one that created the Hefel. Now, how should I do this? I'll do it like this. This is how we'll do it. God, that is so sexy, you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe how sexy that is. Why I have a million magnets? For this reason. Now, my brothers and sisters, or whatever you want to be called today. I don't know how well you can see that, so we're going to fling the ding-dings open. Excuse me, we're going to open the window. So you can really fucking see it. Motherfucker, you know? And I will kind of point out generally where these people are and where they've inhabited and all this and that. This is going to be so sexy that you might want to sit the fuck down. Now, as I said, the first people from Aeonic. Well, that would be the easiest one. There's an area here, it's called the Drana. Drana's people live in this region here of Voss. Then there's Tantorum. They have a giant swath here about the size of Germany. Right here. Interesting though, right? That would be Aeonic's people. Lastly, Aeonic's people inhabit down here, the south. Generally, this whole area. They're mostly looked at as southerners, but that would be the Dacians up here, the Saracens. Oh, geez, what are the people of Quran called? The people of Quran, and then the merchant princes and stuff. There's different cultures down there, but they all fall under the umbrella that is Aeonic's people, mankind. And last one is the Merphos. Remember how I said that the people of the Merphos are the exiles of Adrana and sometimes Tantorum in the early days? Depends on who you ask. Well, they are also Aeonic's people. They make up the biggest majority of all the races. These races of people that I named before, the names, are called Aeomen because they come from the Aeon. Now, Albiorix's people, the clan, they inhabit up here in what is called Albadan, from the Great Green Wall. And here's kind of where, actually it comes up to about here, that Lyria ends. So this general area is it. Why don't I do this? I'll zoom the fuck in, bitch. I mean, friend. Okay, that's a little bit better, I guess. Albadan, that's what it's called. Albadan. The people of Alaric, which, no, check. Wulandi, they have the region down here. They are the border between the Merphos and Tantorum. And there's actually islands that would be down here, like off the map, is what I'm trying to say, that they inhabit. They're a colonializing people, much like Tantorum. Beovox people, the Volandi, once owned and lived all through here, were pushed all the way back to the Valons. This realm is about 200-ish miles north to south, and they've been pushed into that region there. Scaper, who created the Valakmir, 1, 2, 3, 4 islands up here, is where they inhabit. Volur of Dubois, north of the Macedonian Mountains, all the way up. They basically have North Ansar. Silent One, the Hefel, live through the mountains of Gaiavala. From the snake's mouth all the way to the 2 pillars. And then that's it. That's every Aeoman. That they've encompassed the entire world here, as you can see. Now, as for the Anaku, they also live throughout the realms. Think of it much like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Oops, wrong way. Like Native Americans. You know, they've been pushed back to realms, or they've integrated. There are groups of Anaku that do not want to integrate. There are some that are more based on their old heritage. They have stayed within the forest, which is one's up here, one's right here, one's right here, one's right here, another one is right there, there's one right there, and then there's one down here somewhere. A forgotten forest. Those are the ancient forests, I've said before, the places where they inhabit, where they first inhabited, the places closest to Mother. That's what those are. There's like the ancestral homes of the Anaku. They're the ones that stay there, who are called true Anaku. And then there's the Anaku that have left the forest, either exiled, or they were feral. The ferals were kind of let loose sometimes in certain cultures, and then they had to be rounded up and killed. A lot of crazy fucking things that happened with these Anaku. The ferals went mad because of the fate that's happened to them. Some of them would turn feral. Most of the problem you could see up here in one of the Valakmir Isles. I don't remember the name of it. Well, if you don't remember the name of it, you should just look it up real quick. You got this right here? Yeah, well, your cousin didn't want me to do that, so that's why I'm pissed. Well, I'll tell your cousin to go fuck himself. Well, I don't want him. Yeah, so it's Thresia is the main one. Svalgar would be the one to the south. Elmskira, or however you pronounce that. Elmyrska. Elmyrska is this isle. Valma, and then looks like there's 5 isles. I don't know how that works. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, so Valma. Okay, so the Isle of Valma, next to the mist, that's where they inhabit. And that's where you see a lot of ferals kind of coming out of the woodwork. So not a lot of problems there, you know, in every single culture. You know, you do have in the Trinity Forest, it should be abandoned because it's a cursed place. Not a lot of Anaku inhabit there. The closest Anaku are the Fachu that live off the mountains overlooking Angayavala, one of the peaks. And then there used to be the Tortox that lived down here, and the Wraith Anaku, but safe to say they have been wiped out. Now, the Anaku that inhabit, like the exiles, live amongst people but are a lower class. I mean, we think that the Murphos people are a fucking lower class, while the Anaku exiles are the lower class. You know, structurally, it in each culture is a little bit different. Like there are in Lyria, which is an actual Anaku country. This country right here, from north of Valens, all the way up to where it meets Albadan. It's like a strip here that they're between the coast of fucking the Irian coast, yeah, right here, the Irian, and the Trinity Forest, kind of between those two areas, and then they stop up here and they begin down there near the Ovaaka Heights. So that is an Anaku country, which means they have their own class system and stuff like that. Like I believe the Anaku that these ones all inhabit the mountains. There's a disdain for the son Kramos for obvious reasons, but these Anaku inhabit within the mountains, and the ones that have to venture out for trade are seen as a certain kind of class of people, but then there are the ones that are sent out there who are the undesirables, the laborers. So you'll see that even within Anaku culture, anyone that's without the structure that is Anaku culture is considered what to be an exile or an undesirable. That is just kind of how they structure their society. The true wise and respected Anaku elders never leave the forests. They are the true mouthpiece of the planet. But outside of, like Lyria, for instance, the other major Anaku power is up here in Supernia, and they are the Trovian peoples. You could say the Supernians, but Supernians are those native to the country. The Trovians are the Anaku who migrated to that place after the Great Divide, after the Great War. Remember that map I showed of where Danae is? That other map over there? That is kind of the same thing. It's just like, it was during that time, when that stuff was all there, that they had to flee from the Great Forest after the War of the Gods. No, sorry, not after the War of the Gods. That would be after the cursing of fucking, like when the Tanias and all that. When he was, he did what he did to the world. And that kind of thing, if y'all remember. Now, those Anaku up there are best described as like, what are those people called from The Witcher? I can't remember now. Oh God, the Empire in The Witcher, whatever. These Atrovians here have kind of kick-started their growth in the world by unknown means. But they are, in fact, one of the strongest Anaku races. And a supremacy group, let's be honest. And their goal is to unite all the Anaku clans. But, regardless of that, most of this is Aeoman. Now, yes, there is Elandria over here. And there's a continent that would be on this side. That is called Elengur. Those are different stories. Like, quite literally. Those are different stories. They're not what you would imagine. I do have their flags of all the countries up here. Does it matter? I don't even know. This fucking topic feels like it's everywhere. We're supposed to be talking about the Aeoman. The Aeon. Now, we're going to go all the way back to the Aeon. And I'm going to say that those secondary aliens, I don't know. I mean, if I use the word alien, then it's going to have a different connotation. Other beings that enter this realm after its creation muddied it up for the actual Anaku. They did things that caused issues for the Titans and their creation of the Anaku. Now, as you remember before, when the world was created for the Anaku, it was Dove who created the Forgotten People. That race of people that I did actually show on that map, that is actually the world as it was supposed to be. Now, I kind of went through before and said what their goal was, this farming thing, this consumption of energy, this unlimited source of energy that can be found outside of the known universe. It was just something like that. And it was the Aeoman who disrupted the situation. And within this realm created their own peoples who then spread and took over just about everything. Now, I couldn't really tell you what that represents storytelling wise. I couldn't say like, well, you know, the concept behind that was blah blah blah. I don't know necessarily what I'm trying to represent in that moment there, but for me it's like it just felt natural. Now, it follows the same to think of it in the real world context, it follows the same story as the Greek mythology of the Titans and then the pantheon of gods. Same exact thing. We're just looking at them differently. Like, are these guys gods? Oapek, Aik, Beelvok, Alaric, Albioric, Scaper, Volur, and the Silent One. Are they gods? Yes, technically they are. They created races of people. They all have their own purpose, and they all imbued their people with their own set of skills and, I guess you could call it like the magic. The connecting device between the god and the person is this magic, right? They imbued this amongst their people, so you could call them gods. But they're, in reality, just otherworldly beings that come from a place that's opposite of what we see here, essentially. And they aren't this infallible people. You know? Like, what happened to Volur? Volur just disappeared. The Silent One stopped speaking, hence the name the Silent One. Scaper and Albiorix, the people of the Albadan and Valakmir, they've intermingled. They're brother and sister. I think I used to say they were lovers, but I would say they're brother and sister. Scaper, no, they're brothers, I'm sorry, they're two brothers. You have Oapek and Aik, and then you have Albiorix and Scaper. The only girl, I think, is Alaric. That's the only woman. Now, the Albiorix and Scaper, are the only ones that, like, something happened to them too, God knows. Now, Alaric, I don't know what happened to her. Aik Beelvok was cursed, and Oapek was cursed as well. So they're not infallible gods. Like, something happened to them. The Titans, their own story, they're more of a divine race than you could say the Aeon are. But they're fading from the world because of the lack of worship. Now, there are certain groups like the Serpentine I've discussed before that are trying to prevent such outcomes, but at the end of the day, we're talking about groups of people that stumbled upon a place and fucked it up, and it needs to be made right again. They are gods, sure. If you were to define them by, the true definition. But are they really? That's the story of that. We just don't really know. I guess I'll just be interested in when the reader starts to see all this stuff happen. Because, book one, I'm not going to sit and lay all this shit out. Like, by the way, this is what's going on here, that's what's really happening there, this is these people. This stuff will happen slowly. You'll have a moment of a character from a certain isle, or a character from of the mountain folk who will start talking about the belief system of those Aeonic people. But to me, these represents cultural divides amongst people, and it kind of goes to the point like I was saying. So Adrana, mankind, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 cultures of mankind that are all separate from each other. Eris is the hero of all of them. Go to Tantorum though. Ask them who the hero of Tantorum is. Ask them who the hero of mankind is. You're going to get different answers. You might hear Bravon the Red. You might hear the father of all mankind, Tan. You might hear, in modern times, Vandensteer. Or the old Chancellor, Polero. You might hear that shit. No one even thought. Who? The guy that's got to do what now? We don't do that shit. You go down to the south and you say, the hero of mankind, Eris, he's going to be the one. He's going to unite all mankind. He's going to be the one that saves this realm. And then the south will be like, save the realm from what? The biggest hero in the south would probably be fucking what's his name, Vesemir, if you're north of the border, north of the Felmandun Forest here, the Ludenin Forest, whichever one it is. You look down here, you see it's the guy, that fucking king that, I don't remember his name, Geralt's father. And that's just culturally. I mean, you could look at, like, who do they worship? The moon. Dree. What's Dree? There's like a whole different connotation to these people. And it's like, what about the whole saving of the, like, forgotten king and creating the balance, like the whisper and all that stuff. And, you'll get different variations of what the whisper even is down here. But they don't know, just like Adrena doesn't know what the whisper is, but Eris represents the true path. And you already see in different cultures that Merfolk is the only culture, the only one that'll be like, oh, yes. I mean, we didn't know that was Eris, but yes, we know this. This is our forefather, Ravian Spellsong Dovanek, was the one who predicted all of this. That'd be the only culture. And he's not even a part of that culture. His own hometown, his own, like, fucking city he lives in would be like, no, that doesn't compute. We have the Asuk, we have the monarchs. We already know what we gotta do. And that's just one person, And the idea of uniting a mankind, uniting a peoples, which is the goal that Ravian will lay out for Eris through his device that he has. But at the same time, it's like, even the forces of darkness need to unite mankind in worship. And he has to understand that uniting mankind through worship will be through the eyes of guile. The tricking of the Adenian culture. The implementation of Vandensteer and Tantorum. And thus, the other servant of Aek, which is probably the, God damn it, what is his name? The Dacian king. Kirko, that's his name. Horadra Kirko, if I'm understanding and remembering correctly, is the father of Geralt Kirko. Horadra Kirko is an agent of Aek Beovac. Why do you think he follows Tantorum's every whim? He wants to unite the people under his confederacy banner. The only true savior of the South would be Vesemir, the King Vesemir of Quran. The chosen one to unite the people under the eyes of the Whisper. Interesting. I'm sure this is nothing that the people would understand, but there's a bigger game at stake. And the point I'm trying to make is, who is Eris in all of this? If you go to Quran and you ask him, I don't think he could answer that question. He wouldn't. What prophecy? What are you talking about? Christ said to do this, like in our world, do this, and that. But if you go over to another culture who believes in God, they're like, I know he was a prophet, but he wasn't like the fucking son of God. It's just like that. It's just it's all muddy. And that's the kind of point I want to make with this. Like, these Aeonic peoples, the races of the Aeon, just between Oapake, his children, the divide. And we're not even talking about, what about like Valor, the people of Dubois, have no stake in any of this. Their concern is finding their fucking Aeon God. They don't even, it's not their issue. The closed borders of Albiorix's people. They've locked themselves away, hidden from the world, behind their massive green wall. Their impenetrable fucking lands of the north of Voss. They have no concern for the story of Eris, nor do the people of the Valak Mir, nor do the other people like of Wulandi, or the people of the Hafel, like the silent god. Like, this doesn't mean shit to them, the story of Eris. They're just a part of the adventure, they're part of the ride. I mean, you could look at like cultures within Lyria where Eris does matter, though. So there's certain groups of people that are antagonists to the situation that actually Eris does matter, and that would be the Serpentine Order in Lyria. That would be the Serpentine Order that is the head order within Etrovia, to which where I think Jahir comes from. That's why he's in charge down with the whole thing going on with them in Cyprus and all that stuff. That Eris matters then. Maybe not at first, but when they discover it, Eris matters to the people of Beovac. You know, like it's just like it's a crossroads of like confusion where there are so many moving parts here, but like one person is not this, like he's the Luke Skywalker, you know, he's the one that we all, you know, he's Frodo. It doesn't matter what race you are, the ring had to be destroyed. Like it's going opposite and saying like to certain people, Eris is the hero of mankind. To other people, I don't remember exactly where their facility is, somewhere here, he's the biggest threat to the Anaku. He's the biggest threat to a god trying to reanimate himself. He's a nobody. 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 And obviously the mountain people. It really depends on who you're asking. Who is the chosen one? You ask Dubois. You say, hey Dubois, peoples of Dubois, the Hutt Society, you know, the highest intellectuals, the people that are the saviors of the culture, the ones that see forth the change of everything. Who is the savior of Euandra, Atria, the continents of Atria? Well, that's to be debated, but some would argue he died a long time ago. His name was Quinn Espini. He was the freer of the true people of Dubois. He was born in the small town of Albion, and he saw the greatest events change that would be considered the Blight. He died hundreds of years ago. And sadly, his own people killed him. He was the savior of the whole world. And they'd be like, you know, okay. What about, and I told you about the South, like who's the savior? Vesemir is the savior. He's the true savior of, you know, the world. The video's about to die, so only a couple seconds. That's the point I wanted to make. There's a lot of moving parts.